There were literally some people that I filmed with, some of whom are in the film, who I would meet them, and then 2 days later I would receive a call that they had died. My name is Peter Richardson. I directed How to Die in Oregon, which is in the U.S. documentary competition. So the film's about terminally ill Oregonians who must decide when and whether to end their life by lethal overdose under the state's death with dignity law. Well, I first had the idea for the film in 2006. It was actually literally the day that I was leaving for Sundance with my first film, and that was the day that the Supreme Court ruling was announced upholding Oregon's law. It had been challenged by the Bush administration, had went all the way to the Supreme Court, and that was the day that it was upheld. And I knew, like, right then that was the film that I wanted to make. In terms of my approach to the story, I knew that I wanted to make it as real and credible and intimate a portrait of these people's lives at the end as I possibly could. What's the actual real experience of people who are considering this? And that's a very, very complex question. The central story in the film is the story of Cody Curtis, who's a woman who's 53 years old, and she has a terminal cancer diagnosis. She had gone the hospital route. She had gone through a very traumatic 9-hour surgery where her liver was literally kind of cut in half and then reconstructed in order to literally cut the cancer out. That's the only way that this cancer could be removed. And so I think it was her having that perspective really informed ultimately her choice to pursue death with dignity, that she had been down that path and she knew that wasn't something that she wanted to do again. She was planning on using the law on Memorial Day, May 25th, which is just a couple months later. And time went on, and we got to Memorial Day, to May 25th, and she was doing very well, and despite the fact that she had set this date as the date that she was going to take the medication and end her life, she decided not to. Cody ended up living until December of that year. December 7th actually is when she used the law. And it really, the film kind of becomes a story of this extraordinary period where she's contemplating what life means to her, how she's going to live that last 10 months. She's constantly making this assessment of, how do I want to live this day? And do I want to be here tomorrow? Those are very, very profound questions, and that ultimately, I think, is what the film becomes about. Despite the fact, again, that it's a film about death and dying, I think the personal effect has been very positive. The things that people say when they're in those situations are the truth, you know, and that's an insight into something we're all going to face in that moment that we're all going to face. And I feel very fortunate as a 27-year-old person starting out making this film to have been given those insights by these people.